Can I complete all of Rhythm Heaven in 3 days? As someone who has zero rhythm. As someone who claims to be a Rhythm Heaven fan, I've never played any of the games before, but I want to change that. The rules are simple. Get any and all superb medals throughout the 50 plus minigames presented. That's a lot of minigames. And as someone who doesn't want to spend days or even weeks trying to beat this challenge, this was a problem. So I added an extra rule saying that I only have 3 days to complete this challenge, and if I fail, well, to be honest, I didn't think that far ahead. But we'll see. Rhythm Heaven likes to group minigames into columns, with 10 in total, each column consisting of 4 separate minigames and one big finale at the end called a remix, with each remix getting progressively harder. The first 2 columns are pretty simple, acting more as a tutorial rather than a challenge. The only 2 minigames that offer some sort of difficulty are Tambourine and Monkey Watch. Tambourine is a memory game where you have to copy whatever the monkey does, and I didn't do so great. You will quickly realize that I have terrible rhythm. Most of the time I have no idea what's going on and I just keep mashing the A button. But due to sheer determinism, I managed to push through. Monkey Watch is a completely different game. All you have to do is simply keep up with the beat. Alright, sounds simple enough. It's not like I haven't done that before. It should be easy. Until your hands start cramping halfway through. The amount of times you have to press A, combined with the weird way I was holding my 100% legitimate Wii remote, made my hand feel like it was having a heart attack. Add this with the fact that I'm not musically talented, and now I'm raging at a bunch of monkeys. We are only on the second column, and things are already not looking great. I managed to get past the stupid monkey game, but the minigame after that wasn't going to be easy. Remix 2 is basically the final boss of the second column. It combines all the previous games into one big mashup, and I struggled. A lot. It didn't help that the games were faster, but the real problem comes in when you realize I've been performing the tambourine section wrong the entire time. Instead of pressing A and B, I was only pressing A, and you can imagine my frustration after 10 attempts, not realizing what I was doing wrong.
Are you serious? Are you serious? Oh my god.
I somehow lived to tell the tale of Remix 2 and eventually got a superb medal. Columns 3 and 4 are fairly simple. I would go as far to say that they're even easier than 1 and 2. Or maybe my skill has greatly improved now that I understand the game even more. Either way, there's only a few minigames that I would deem hard or get good material. That being Air Rally in both remixes. Air Rally takes the premise of Pilot Wings from the N64 and adds Wii Sports to the mix. I mean seriously, whose idea was it to play badminton in the middle of the sky? I have no idea who this guy even is, but he has way too much energy to be hitting birdies faster than the speed of sound. This game reminds me a lot of Monkey Watch and what it's like to feel pain again. Remix 3 takes a while to get used to. It's like one big convoluted plot. Sure, it's a fun ride, but you have absolutely no idea what's going on. I had trouble keeping up since my hands still felt cramped from earlier. It doesn't wait for you. Rather, you have to constantly adjust to whatever game is being displayed on screen, which is too complex for my small brain. Column 4 doesn't have any good games. Most of them are just pretty simple in concept and don't ask much from the player until you reach Remix 4. All of a sudden, the once baby easy games are dialed up to max difficulty as you try not to break concentration. Or at least that's what I would say if I was a complete idiot. Looking back, this remix was actually fairly easy. None of the changes felt sudden. The problem was that I had no idea what was going on. I could sit here and make excuses on why I was having so much trouble with this game, but to be honest, I think we all know the real reason. And it's kind of funny watching me rage at the simplest mechanics.
Why am I messing this up? Why am I messing it up? I don't want to talk about it. I just don't want to talk about it. Okay, like we keep that on the low. We keep that on the low side.
Eventually, I was able to use 2 of my brain cells and figure out how to press the A button, but better. At this point, day 1 was practically over with. I had a good understanding of how Rhythm Heaven works, but I wasn't done yet. There were still a few hours left in the day, meaning that theoretically, I could finish the next 2 columns before the day is over. Column 5 was pretty basic. The only minigame I had trouble on was Catch of the Day. The premise being that you had to time your A presses with the beat in order to catch the fish. You know, like fishing. But just like fishing, this minigame sucks. It doesn't help that this minigame offers nothing. other than being slightly difficult. By the end it just feels repetitive, which is saying something considering the other levels I had to play before this. Actually, now that I mention it, many levels borrow similar ideas from each other. Micro Row and Hole in One are practically identical in how they play. The same goes for other games like Working Dough and Forklifter or Packing Pest and Monkey Watch. I like to call this phenomenon the borrowing effect, because you know how over time games and movies just borrow the same ideas from each other, leading to most consumed media feeling relatively the same? Actually, saying that out loud made me realize I have to go back to the drawing board for that one. Basically, this happens when two or more minigames feel oddly similar to each other. Here, take a look at Donk Donk from column 6. It's a call and response game similar to Ringside or Tambourine. You have to constantly switch in between a 2-count beat and a 3-count. But that's way too many numbers for me to comprehend what's going on. Whenever the beat switches to a 3-count, it feels like you're just hammering the A button with as many inputs as you can. It's hard to tell whether you're on beat since the game doesn't use audio indicators like others. I definitely wouldn't recommend this game to anyone with opposing thumbs, otherwise carpal tunnel is waiting for you around the corner. I got stuck here for longer than I would like to admit. When I did eventually get a superb medal, it felt like I earned it through sheer luck rather than actual skill.
Wait, what? Okay.
I never actually understood the mechanics behind this minigame, which posed a problem later on. Remix 6 is a literal nightmare. Not only do you have to deal with the annoying Donk Donk game, but now you have all these other minigames to account for. This is where I started getting stuck. I would do everything perfectly, but that goddamn Donk Donk game would always get in the way. The amount of times I had to replay this level just because I couldn't figure out one minigame felt insulting. It doesn't help that the other minigames are equally as difficult. I swear, the game loves trolling you with these rockets. You'll be in the middle of a good run when out of nowhere...
What was that? What was that?
I definitely wouldn't recommend this game to anyone with a brain. By the end of day 1, I was exhausted. The only thing that kept me going was the possibility that I could fail and the consequences I would face after, which I still haven't figured out yet. The two options I'm leaning towards are eating really spicy food or watching some questionable anime. Both aren't good options, but one is clearly better than the other. With day 1 completed, I actually made some good progress. I already have 60% of the game finished. Now all I have are 4 columns left and I could potentially finish this by the second day. That was not the case. That was not the case at all. Day 2 starts off with column 7, and it ends with column 7. When I say this column has 7 of the most unfair, rage-inducing levels in the entire game, I am not exaggerating. Here, let me show you. Tap Troop is another minigame where your goal is to mindlessly tap A to the rhythm. I know, how original. This game reminds me a lot of Monkey Watch in how it plays, and feels, and honestly everything else. I couldn't find a reason as to why I was struggling so much. Maybe it was a combination of speed and timing, but to be honest, looking back, this minigame felt simplistic. It didn't really do anything to stand out or be this grand spectacle of rhythm games, which saying that makes me question my own skill, and that's something I'm not proud of. The further you move along, the more rhythm and love to catch you off guard. It does this to add more difficulty to fairly simple levels, but these additions make minigames feel more like a chore when you fail the first time around. Though Tap Troop is an exception due to its simplicity. This minigame on the other hand is not an exception. Shrimp Shuffle is the worst minigame out of the entire collection. I got stuck on the tutorial when I first played this. I can't exactly describe what makes this game so difficult. The beat just feels off-putting. Sometimes the shrimp decide to pause at the most random moments. I did some research and realized that Shrimp Shuffle has a 3-4 count instead of the usual 4-4 count, which could explain the unnatural feeling. But I don't care. This minigame is awful. Everything from the music to the strange rhythm and how these shrimps just stare into your soul, this is definitely my least favorite. But on the bright side, once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. Cheerleaders is a game that likes to mislead you. The tutorial starts out simple enough, teaching you all the different rhythms you have to account for. At first you think it's easy. The song is pretty catchy, the rhythms are basic enough to understand, you got this. And then you get to the actual game. And then the game suddenly does a 180. Everything is being thrown at you all at once. These simple patterns turn into an onslaught of commands, trying to figure out when to press A, where to press A, or even how to press A. I know I'm over exaggerating when I say this, but I genuinely got stuck here for way longer than I should have. This game threw me off guard with how fast it is. This isn't your simple tap A to the rhythm type game. You have to listen for certain prompts in order to know what to do. When you hear OK, it's on, you're supposed to hold both A and B. But it's so easy to get lost among all the other commands that you sometimes forget to hold both buttons. After a while, I was able to get a superb medal. But this game will be edged into the back of my mind as unnecessarily difficult. The next game is Karate Man, and it's actually easy. Yeah, there's not much to talk about here, you just mindlessly tap A. But Remix 7, oh my god! If Remix 6 was a nightmare, then this is hell. My results started bleeding itself into my computer screen with the amount of times I had to try again. This was the first time I felt stuck. No matter how many times I tried, I wasn't making any progress. In order to emphasize how difficult this level was, here's a graph that shows how many attempts I had on every other remix. And here's Remix 7. The games were harder, the music was faster, the criteria to get superb was more strict, but when I finally got an OK, I knew I could do it. I spent some time just trying to understand this level, over and over again repeating the same mistakes. It felt as though the game was working against me, testing my limits. Up till now, I played the entire game so casually. It doesn't matter that I'm bad, it's just pressing A. But here, I had to try.
1, 2, 3, it's up to you. Okay, it's on.
That was great, really great. Come on. Let's go! Let's go! Oh my god. We actually did it. We actually did it. We actually did it. I am starving right now. I am starving right now.
This marks the end of day 2. At this point you technically beat the game, but as any true Rhythm Heaven fan would know, there's still much more to uncover. This only marks the end of any original content. Every minigame after this point is just a harder variation of previous levels. Remix 8, 9, and 10 are each difficult in their own right, but for some reason, the first game I got stuck on was Samurai Slice 2. At this point it's already day 3, and I still have a lot of game to cover. Samurai Slice 2 is the very first level of Column 8. I brushed over the original Samurai Slice because it was pretty easy, but for some reason the sequel wasn't as forgiving. Samurai Slice plays at your typical minigame until halfway through when the game decides to obstruct your vision. You have to rely solely on hearing for this one. You don't realize how useful visuals are until they're ripped away from you. I had to pull up a metronome app in order to keep up. The criteria in order to get a superb medal was way more strict, which confused me at first. It's hard to understand why you suck at something even though you did before, only to realize that it's not your fault. Samurai Slice 2 is virtually the same as its predecessor, be it a little faster. It took me a while to get the hang of things, but once I understood what was happening, the rest was easy, as well as all the following games. Remix 8 was the next roadblock, and unlike other remixes, this one enjoys messing with your emotions. If I had to describe this level in one word, it would be misleading. It starts off easy enough, but towards the end, the beat ramps up and you start playing minigames that weren't even included in this column. There's no warnings, no signals, just blam. All of a sudden you're playing Dance Dance Revolution. I would appreciate a heads up every now and then, but I get this game is targeted towards masochists and people who don't have anything better to do over the weekend. Remix 9 shares similarities to Remix 8, with the same mentality as screw you for trying to enjoy this game. This level chewed me up and spit me out. It took me multiple hours to get anywhere close to a superb. At this rate, it seemed like I wasn't going to complete this challenge. Everything I did for the past 3 days would be for nothing. Or at least that's what I would say if I was a complete idiot. If you think I'm giving up just because of one minigame, then think again.
Wait, that was great, really great. Come on. Never mind. We the GOAT. We the GOAT. We the GOAT. We the GOAT. We the best music. We the best music today. Catch will be for a month. Yes, that exactly.
With Remix 9 finished, that's 90% of the game completed. All we need is one more column. Column 10 is the final challenge, having some of the hardest minigames. And I first tried most of them. I thought there was going to be a harder challenge, but it was actually pretty easy. It's crazy looking back and realizing that I was having trouble on some of the earlier levels. Making it this far into the challenge goes to show how much I have progressed these past couple of days. A man who had zero rhythm skills is now dominating the last stretch. It really seemed like I was going to complete this challenge before the day was over. but there was still one more obstacle. As I moved through the last couple of games, I made it to the final remix. And when the game says it's going to be hard, you better know it. Like here, let me show you. For context, it was already 10 PM, meaning that if I don't beat this in the next 2 hours, I fail. Remix 10 goes through every single minigame presented, even the end credits. It's constantly switching games, constantly switching tempos, and the ending is just me. By 11 PM, I was making zero progress. I was getting better at keeping up, but I just kept seeing the same message over and over again. I felt hopeless. Despite all the improvements, it wasn't enough. But then, at the last moment, I gathered all of my strength, all of the hours I spent playing this game, and I got an okay. There were only 10 minutes left before 12 AM. So yeah, I failed. That's it. No more video. I couldn't 100% complete Rhythm Heaven Fever. Or at least that's what I would say if I didn't absolutely crush it.
That was great, really great. Yeah! I think I'm gonna cry, bro. Oh my god.
This was a lot of fun, but honestly I'm glad that it's over. For a second I genuinely thought I was going to eat really spicy food, or worse. I learned a lot from this challenge. Not only can I call myself a Rhythm Heaven fan, but I know more about music and rhythms. I finally got to understand why this game is so special. It takes some getting used to, but overall, it's genuine fun. Also, for those of you in the comments, yes, I did complete all of the extra games, but no one really cares about those, so leave me alone.